Greetings, traveler. The inky blackness creeping towards you will soon envelop your soul. A darkness so deep can only emanate from hell's pit of Oh, no, I have my sunglasses on. It's still pretty dark. I would still be worried. It's Dead Reckoning, episode 8. Tonight, we're talking about cheap beef, ugly dolls, and snow axes. Join us.
Hi, my name is Kirsty Walker, and because of Pet Sematary, I cremated my dog. My week in horror, I rewatched Pet Sematary, because every now and then I just like to rewatch old Stephen King films. And I was struck by a few things. So, number one...
Did you have your bag with you?
I had my bag with me. I was holding on to my bag, watching the Stephen King film. And I thought the kid that played Gage is such a great child actor. Because he's meant to be like 3. And he's still so good. And it's still really creepy when he's like wandering around with the scalpel and stuff. I was like, this kid was like such a good child actor, and they copped out of it on the remake by making the kid that comes back to life the older kid. And I was just and it's like, no, it's so much better when it's the baby. So I was like, yeah, Gage was a great kid actor, and the cat is a fantastic animal actor because the cat has got to do so much weird shit, and like, and when
cats do weird shit anyway.
No, but like, there's moments when it's like, that's a real cat. It's not a model. The cat's so good. Like, the cat's good at like lying still and being dead. And I didn't think cats were really into that. I've been with a cat today, and the idea of getting Pele, my boyfriend's dad's cat, to do anything.
What capacity have you been with a cat today?
I've been with a cat today. I went to see my boyfriend's dad with him, and they've got a cat called Pele. And the idea of getting Pele to do anything you told it to do is so ridiculous that it just gives me sort of a bigger appreciation for this animal acting cat. And I think in the remake as well, they CGI'd a lot of it.
Oh.
They didn't use like proper.
Lazy, the remake.
I know. Don't get me started on that, how lazy they are now.
Nobody uses practical cats anymore.
No, it's all just, there's a lot of out of work animal actors, like a lot of out of work cats who are just like, wow, there's nothing to do all day.
Frank?
There's like a production designer from the 80s, we just used to have a pocket full of treats. Throw them over there, they do whatever you want.
So the little boy is really great. The cat is great. And the other thing that I liked, it's a very creepy film. The thing that always annoys me about it, though, so you've got the old fella, Jed, and he's like, why did you tell him about this place why did you ever mention this fucking graveyard? Because you've caused all of this. You've caused the deaths of 4 people, and including yourself, by just opening your fucking trap about this. Like, why did you talk about it? And in the film, he sort of goes like, a man has his reasons for revealing the Pet Sematary. And it's like, why? What's the reason? What's the fucking reason? Because you just like to see the world burn, Jed. Is that what it is? Like, I still don't know the motivation for him saying, because he just decides that this little girl is not like mentally well enough for a cat to die. He's like, no, she can't cope with that. You better bring it back from the dead. And I will show you this really ridiculously complex route to a graveyard. Which, I'm sorry, there's absolutely no way anybody else could get back there at that point. Because when he's like, okay, so you just go over this big bush where you'll definitely fall down there. Then you walk across a tree. Then you go around a canyon. Then you do, and it's like, I got it. You're telling me that this guy remembered the second time when he takes the little boy up, he's just like, yeah, this is the way. Of course you're not going to remember any of that shit. It's really complicated.
Drop a pin, mate.
Yeah, I was just like, no way has he remembered that. It is like when you're upset about something as well, you don't think straight, do you? You certainly don't have like a memory map of a bloody Indian burial ground. Oh yeah, it's just over these next few trees. Like you just climb over these trees and then walk across this 2-foot wide canyon. Yeah, that's the way to the old graveyard. So there was a few little bits in it. In the book, they're fleshed out, and you kind of go, "All right, I kind of understand." You know why, but in the film they're just like, well, I've got my reasons for showing you where this this burial ground is, and I'm keeping them to myself for now. And then it's like, oh, why did you do that? And then the other thing that I really liked was I'd forgotten about this bit. I don't know how, but at the end, so Stephen King's a big Ramones fan, and over the end credits, Dee Dee Ramone wrote a song about Pet Sematary for over the credits. And I don't want to discredit Dee Dee, but I don't feel like he's the most prolific reader. And I do feel like I kind of feel like they've gone to him and said, Dee Dee, you want to write this song for Pet Sematary? Do you want to read the book? And he's been like, give me the gist of it. It's like, okay, there's a pet cemetery where you bury things, they come back to life. And he's like, right. And you don't really want that, right? And they're like, no, that'd be a bad thing. And he's like, okay, got it. And he's like, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then he's got like this song that's like, I don't want to be buried in a pet cemetery. And it's like, right? It's just really on the nose. I don't want to live my life again. It's like, right? It's a bit on the nose, Dee Dee, but all right, yeah, fine. And I love the idea of him doing like, they should definitely hire him to do all the other Stephen King adaptations. Just like, I don't want to live under a dome. That would not be a fun place to live. Like, just get every single time, just give him the very briefest gist of what he's doing and just send him off to write a song. But I'd forgotten about that song, and I was like, because it's a very fucking solemn film, you know, it's very upsetting bits of it, and the final bit is like his wife coming back as this horrific zombie and like killing him, and then it just smash cuts to the credits. It's like no. Like, and he starts up, and you're like, oh, I haven't had time to adjust. Thank you.
Other authors, when there's a movie adaptation of their book, they don't have this much input. Their input is basically they write the book first before the movie comes out, and that's it. And Stephen King seems to
he's in it. He's in most of them. He plays a priest in Pet Sematary. You know, he does get very involved. I've just finished his book this week as well, which is called On Writing, which he he started to write. He started to write it, and then he got hit by that car, nearly died, and it's kind of. Like he always puts these kind of cliffhangers in his books, and then like you're reading this non-fiction book where he's talking about the process of writing, and then it's like, and then a week later I was hit by a car, and you're like, it's a real page turner. Will he survive? Like, I guess he wrote the book, so yeah, I guess he did survive. Like, but he was like he was saying in that how he basically got really stiffed in the early days of like signing contracts for books where he got hardly any money. And because he was absolutely skint. He was on the bones of his ass when he sold Carrie, and he just took he's like, yeah, whatever, I'll take anything. And then like a few years, like got a better agent, and then like realized, oh, hang on, I should be getting more of this because I wrote the fucking thing, and I'm hardly getting any of the money for it. So then he started to get more involved, and I imagine it's part of like his contracts with like selling the film rights and stuff that he is in, because he's in no way involved in the Brian De Palma Carrie film. But then as you sort of get later on into, and he wasn't involved in The Shining, but as you get like further into his career, he pops up he's in the films, like doing these little cameos. He's like, he's executive producing, and he did the screenplay for Pet Sematary as well, didn't he? Like he wrote the screenplay, so like he's getting a bit more involved. But yeah, I just thought that was a fun one to rewatch. And then I have finished the book On Writing now. So now I am ready to become a fully fledged horror writer. That's very exciting. I expect to be getting my first check soon. And it's very exciting. Like it just tells you how to write horror books, and you're like, oh, that's easy. Yeah, this is all very straightforward. I can't wait to get started.
If you need any ideas, so it was I had the father-in-law up here for Melody's birthday the other day, He's a massive fan of the podcast, and he's like, "Oh, I had this really good idea for a horror movie. If you like, I don't know if it's something you guys can produce, because he told me about this this YouTube channel called Alter, ALTER, which is just loads of horror shorts, which is awesome. And he's like, if you want to do, I've got this really good idea. He's like, so obviously that you guys run the podcast, but I was thinking, you know, you guys are in there and you're doing the podcast, and then something happens." And that was it. He's like, well, it needs a bit of development.
Something happens. There's a twist.
Just before we move on from Pet Cemetery, it is wise to note that the old man who shows him where the Pet Cemetery is Fred Gwynn from the Munsters. So it's like,
yeah, it's Herman Munster.
Herman Munster is like an old man. He's like he's living next door. So it's just like, why would you let your child be alone with this giant man? Like, let me take your child to this graveyard. Also, the mum's played by Denise Crosby from Star Trek The Next Generation, so there's probably a 90% chance that Stephen King did this to get a Star Trek t-shirt.
Yeah, which I'm sure he did. The lead actor, whose name I've forgotten, is awful as well. Like, he's really bad at it. Considering he's got the full weight of this film on his shoulders, he does not rise to the occasion. He's really bad. He's out-acted by a 2-year-old and a cat. He's acted off the screen by them.
The first thing I think of when I think of Pet Cemetery is that scene where the kid's hiding under the bed and she cuts his Achilles tendon with the scalpel.
I looked away at that point because I remembered it. I was like, I just saw this and I was like, yeah, it was hand in front of the eyes time for me with that one. I was like, nope, not watching that. But yeah, I do like it. I liked the remake, but yeah, there was a lot of cop out in it, and they change how it ends and stuff, and yeah, he's got a great understanding of physics and anatomy, that child. That Achilles tendon, that seems to be the key to standing up. Like,
I'm not technically a doctor, but
you need that to stand up. I'm going to get close to the ground. Herman Munster won't see me down here. He's fucking huge.
He sees everything.
He sees all.
However, had he been wearing his Herman Munster Frankenstein boots...
Yeah, exactly. Instead of his old man slippers, that was the downfall of him. It's a bad footwear.
Yeah, dress smart.
And that just quickly, the other thing that I watched was a film called Stop Motion. Have you seen it?
No, but I want to. It's on my list.
Oh, right, okay. I won't ruin it for you or anything. But the stop motion parts are the best bits. I think they struggled with what to do with the characters, and it was quite interesting. Like, was Stephen King's talking about how you do a plot. He's like, you don't just plot and say this happens, that happens. He said you get your character and you put them in a situation and you just have things happen and see how they react to it. And it's this film seems to be the exact opposite. It's like they've got some pretty unlikable characters. Well, not even unlikable, just kind of like dull characters in it. And there's sort of there's a lot of stuff that happens where you're just like, oh, I don't care about this. Like, I don't care about you. I don't care if you live or die. And that's like the stop motion elements of it are actually really, really good, and the stop motion bits are really great. But I feel like they've just gone, right, we need to make a film with like a load of stop motion. The BFI produced it. It's like, oh, we'll make a film with a load of stop motion. And then they've gone, right, we need to sort of hang a story off of this thing. And there's a twist that you see coming about 5 billion miles away. Like, it's worth a watch for the stop motion and for some little bits that are quite effective. But I thought it was going to be better than it was. And the characters in it I found completely unlikable. There wasn't a single likable character in the whole thing. And therefore you don't really care what happens to them. So you don't have that sense of like dread or that sense of horror, because it's like, oh no, what's going to happen to her? It's like, don't give a fuck. She could die, she could live. I don't care. As long as this film fucking ends, I don't care what happens to her.
All right, well, I'll cross that one off the list.
Well, I'm sorry about that. I wasn't expect when I said, oh, I watched that, and you were like, wow, yeah, cool, amazing. I was like, oh no, right.
I don't believe that was my response at all.
That's how I heard it.
I would imagine that it took a lot of effort to keep up the suspense while they're doing like tiny alterations. The really short models, they're just like, hey, one frame at a time.
I've always thought like stop motion, it is so fucking tedious to do, isn't it? Like I can't imagine a human wanting to do that because it's so boring. A friend of mine, when we did our degree together, and she went to do her work experience at Cosgrove Hall, which made Danger Mouse and Wind in the Willows and all these like stop motion, and Danger Mouse was all with paper and stuff. And she was like, I said, did they let you do anything? She was like, oh my God, it was so boring. She was like, everyone there was boring. Everything that they did was boring. And it was like, they told her to make, they were like, can you make some sheep? And she's like, how many? And they went 400.
Oh, no.
And there's actually a line, and he's like, and they've all got to look identical. And there's a line in stop motion where she kind of like the protagonist gets this job at like a big stop motion studio, and they're like, right, yeah, we need, and it was exactly the same thing. They're like, we need 1,000 eyes, and they all need to be completely the same. And she's like, and you want me to just go and make eyes? And they're like, yeah, get to it.
Chop, chop.
I was like, oh God, like, but unfortunately, some of the tediousness of the stop motion bleeds through into the film itself, so that you're like,
the essence of tedium.
oh, this again, you know. But no, watch it, but don't. It wasn't brilliant.
After you'd said that, because years ago there was a really bad fire at the Aardman Animation Studios like archive. I can't help but think that it was like a disgruntled employee who was just so bored they decided to burn the whole thing down. I've had enough of Chicken Run for 7 years on chicken's leg. Like throwing petrol everywhere. I'll burn it all down with me. Cracking cheese, grommet.
That was my week in horror.
My name's Jed, and unlike Paul Sheldon, I'm all right. I'm not in misery.
You sure you want to go with that?
I'm doing a bit of a Stephen King special this week, so I'm going to sort of expand on some of the things that Kirsty was talking about. But the first thing that I've been watching that was a Stephen King miniseries is 11/22/63, which is a sort of Stephen King thriller series based on one of his novels. But it's basically James Franco is this guy who, the whole plot is that he gets sent back in time to, he meets a man in a diner, and the guy, it's got such an absurd premise.
Yeah.
The premise is that there's a time hole in the back of the diner that like leads to 1963. So he's got to spend like 3 years in the past waiting to try and stop the assassination of JFK. But there's like really weird moments where it becomes like Final Destination, where it's like the past is pushing back, and like he'll randomly start like things will happen where a man will like try and light a cigarette, and then suddenly like his jacket will be on fire, and like paintings fall down from the ceiling, or a house burns down, or cars crash around him whenever he tries to do something. But it's just like a James Franco on a mission to try and like stop the JFK assassination, which ultimately doesn't really work out in his favour altogether. But it's not one of the best series, but it's a dead sort of like surreal. And one of the things that really gets you in it is he tries to stop this guy's family from being murdered. Like he's in present, he's like a teacher. He's teaching a class on like writing or whatever. One of the students is writing the stories like, on this day in 1960, my dad murdered my entire family, and everyone's just in the classroom like, nice story that, mate. Just like slow clapping, slowly clapping in, just like shuffling the papers. But yeah, it's a decent series. It's just got a very sort of weird plot set up. It's like the guy in the diner randomly has a hole that goes to 1960. It's just like the whole premise of it is just like
it's very Stephen King, though, isn't it?
I know, yeah. I reckon he pitched it to his editor, and he's just like, so where does the time hole come from? He goes, don't matter. It's just a hole in the back of a cupboard.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. that was the sort of like the feeling that you got from reading his book, which was like, just do what you want. Like, it doesn't matter. Don't get into all the details about it could possibly happen. He's like, no one cares about that. Just write. If there's a hole in the back of the cupboard, there's a hole in the back of the cupboard, and
It's
it goes
fiction,
to the
it's
60s.
fantasy. It's like, well,
Yeah. It's just like people. If you just announce it with enough sort of like, I don't know, with enough confidence, people just go, yeah, sure, all right.
Also, one of the money making schemes that he has, so he'll have money in the past, is he basically has a sports almanac from Back to the Future. I was just like, is Stephen King just robbing bits from Back to the Future to use it? Like, he's got a sports almanac. He tells him how to dress, and he tells him like random bits of events and stuff. He goes, have you brought anything back from the past? And he goes, yeah, how do you think I kept meat the burgers so cheap here at the time? It's like, you've been... It's taken him this long to try and change the past for any sort of good reason. He's just been like going back and buying like beef at like 10 cents on the dollar. Yeah. Coming back, like,
I love that.
like the guy who runs the diner literally spends a portion of time explaining that he's been using it to do like cheap food runs and buying food from like the 60s.
So he didn't go back with a sports almanac and make millions of dollars. He just went back to get cheap beef.
Yeah, why don't you make so much money that you don't have to have a diner? Why
What
don't
a
you
waste
do
of a
that?
time hole.
But every time you go back though, it like kind of does it over again. So you can like change the past when you come back, but then if you go back again, it kind of erases it, like erasing a tape over. And it's just I couldn't get past the premise of the time hole is just in the back of the cupboard. No matter how many times I'm going to watch this and try and like get involved in it and be like, we've got to stop the assassination of JFK. It's always going to circle back to a time hole in the back of the cupboard. But yeah,
And what a pain that would be for like a small business owner. You're like, oh, first of all, the extractor fan breaks. Now there's a time hole in the back of the cupboard, and the business rates have gone up. Like,
you'd have to put like an out of order sign just to stop any random person who works there from going in that cupboard. Like, what's happening to all your staff? Turnover is insane because they keep wandering into 1960 and not coming back.
That'd be part of your interview process. Is like, if you saw an old cupboard, what would you do next? You'd probably have a look inside. All right, we'll let you know.
If you could go back to 1960 and do anything, what would you do? And they'd be like, I'd get cheap beef. And he goes, you're tired. Yeah, this is actually the first in a series of TV adaptations of sort of Stephen King stories done by J.J. Abrams, which leads me on to the next part of my week in horror, which is Castle Rock, which I've mentioned in passing previously, but there's 2 series of it. I thought there would be more, but apparently they only planned it to be a 2 series sort of outing, where the first series has it's set in largely set in Shawshank Prison, obviously the same prison from the Shawshank Redemption, and there's basically they find Bill Skarsgård. Well, just to see tread backwards, like the warden of Shawshank Prison in like the modern times. He kills himself in the first episode and this is like the most gruesome way to kill you. So he doesn't decide to like hang himself or take an overdose or whatever. He basically ties a rope round a tree and then ties it around his own neck and then drives this fucking car off a cliff. So it like pulls his head off his body out the window. It's like the most over the top thing, and then he leaves a note for the new warden, like warning him about the old part of the prison. And then when they go and do like a recce of the new prison, the old part of the prison to possibly open it up again, because it's like a commercial prison now, so they just importing people from all around the country. They find Bill Skarsgård in like a water tank, like underneath the prison, and they don't know who he is or what he's supposed to be or whatever. And it's all about them finding out who he is. And there's loads of sort of timey-wimey things that don't really make much sense, apart from the fact that it's like a bit of a cursed place. But It's another thing with Melanie Linsky from Yellow Jackets and a load of other stuff. She's actually in it as well as there's like a guy who comes back to the town to like investigate the guy who's being kept onto the prison, and his stepmother, well, not stepmother, but like adopted mother, is played by Sissy Spacek. So a lot of the people who've been in previous Stephen King adaptations kind of show up for big sort of like random sort of bit part characters in it. But the whole thing is as well that Bill Skarsgård character is like a really he's sort of evil, but it just seems like everyone around him just does evil stuff. Like the minute he's like in a place, people just start like stabbing each other with scissors, or like going on a rampage, or no matter what he does, he doesn't even say any sort of weird stuff. Also, one of the characters in passing is supposed to be the niece of Jack Torrance from The Shining. So anybody who lives in Castle Rock, they're always like random characters from like different bits. Like the sheriff who lives with Sissy Spacek is Alan Pangborn from Needful Things, and all these little bit part characters from various. Like a Castle Rock's like an amalgamation of all sorts. It's like get everybody from Stephen King books and just throw them in all like a world and see how they interact with each other. So that's the first series of it, but we actually watched the second series as well, which is more about like there's two sort of facets in the second series, which firstly Lizzie Kaplan plays Annie Wilkes as like a younger version of the version from Misery, and she comes to the town and she's like working part-time in the hospital so she can like steal loads of pills. And the other part is there's like a power struggle between Tim Robbins, who plays this sort of crime figure in the town, and his like adopted kids who are like Somali refugees. But basically what's happening is there's like these evil forces, these like evil spirits who are like bringing people back from the dead, like try and like take over the town. But without going into like too much detail, it's kind of like that. But seeing Tim Robbins play a bad guy is always good and stuff, because he's only ever been a bad guy in a few things. When he does sort of take a dark turn, it's always a really good thing to see. Like recently in the TV series Silo, he was like a really sort of bad and nefarious sort of geezer. And Arlington Road, is the one where he plays the neighbor,
like a terrorist.
Yeah.
He's really good at that, playing the bad guy.
He's a really nice. Whenever he plays a nice guy, he's a really nice guy. But if he wants to play an absolute bastard, Tim Robbins can just like absolutely shine it on completely.
Like Sam Neill in the last episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Lizzie Kaplan as Annie Wilkes, like a young Annie Wilkes, is definitely the star of the show in the second series. It's just every single scene in it is just amazing. Plus, there's a bit where she kills a man with an ice cream scoop by just ramming it in his neck. It's the most random implement to murder someone with. She's just like repeatedly stabbing him in the throat with an ice cream scoop, as allusions to her obsession with Paul Sheldon from Misery, just at the very, very end. And you're just like, that's like a cherry on the top of the series. Just to like tap it off, it starts to like shows her starting to become really obsessed with him. Like reading his all the way through it. She's like reading his books aloud to her daughter. It's just like it starts to like sow the seeds of her absolute complete obsession with his books. But yeah, that's Castle Rock is certainly one to watch. I think it's on Amazon Prime at the moment, but it was out on Hulu, so God knows where that's sort of fallen if you're in the UK or even if you're in Australia. I don't know where that would be at the moment, but I think you can buy it on Amazon Prime. It's definitely one to check out.
Hi, I'm Paul. If I was a Stephen King character, the story would be called Fatter. My week in horror, I did my assignment for my Paranormal Investigator 101 certification. So I did it, and I like because I'd taken so long to send it in, I made a real effort, made it look really professional, set it out kind of like a report and an invoice and whatever, and sent it through. For some reason, I expected it to come back pretty quickly and say, great, you've passed, here's your certificate. It's been over a week and I've heard nothing from them. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Are you busy? Wandering around looking for haunted factories or something?
Easter's a really busy time for ghost hunters.
But while I was waiting, I fact checked that I was supposed to do it in the last episode or maybe even the one before that, but I fact checked that killer steam train or killer locomotive or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Remember? The haunted train that killed several people in Williamstown. So no mention of it anywhere except by the company who ran the ghost tours and the ghost course. Who mentioned it a little bit. And I'm like, But the funny thing is, and I'll post this on in our chat and the socials. The funny thing is, while I was looking at it, I came across this other article that popped up in my Google search. Let me just see if I can find the thing.
Are you doubting the credibility of this online ghost hunting?
I'm starting to, Jay. So it came up with this video that says, Ghost Hunter killed by train. So no killer train taking out random civilians, but a ghost hunter probably looking to frame a train for being haunted and a killer. Gets hit and killed by.
I told you.
And I'm like, so do ghost hunters hunt the ghost of the ghost hunter? So other than that, I watched a couple of movies. So I watched Suitable Flesh, which I've been wanting to watch for a while. And it's pretty good. My review is it's Smile, but made in the 80s. But it's one of these movies, and I don't like when they do this, and it happens in a lot of movies. The person who's possessed by whatever it is, demon, just ends up being like a 50s dirtbag. Like that's all a demon is just like some like sleazy guy, basically. It's like, remember in The Simpsons Halloween one where Homer gets Snake's hair?
Yeah.
And it just turns him into that like creepy guy. That's basically what a demon does in every movie. And I'm like, you could just do that anyway. Like you don't need to do this big whole possession thing. Like there are people who are just like that. They don't seem to be any worse than like just a bit of a creep you wouldn't invite to a party. That's the worst you get from a demon. So yeah, it was okay. And I appreciated the bit where someone, I can't remember if they jump or they fall. I think they fall out of a window and hit the concrete and their head just goes kaplush, like a melon dropped, rather than the old tired scene of someone hitting the ground from hundreds of feet and you just see this little trickle of blood and then they're like, oh, he's dead. So that was good. I rewatched Sweetheart. I don't know if you've seen that one.
No.
So it's called Sweetheart, and it's about a girl, and there's no spoilers, but it's basically about a girl who gets washed up on an island after some sort of shipwreck that you don't know anything about, and then has to face off with a sea monster. But it is absolutely awesome. There's this amazing scene in it. It's been out a while. I mentioned it. So this is before she knows anything's going on, but there's like little clues around that something's a bit weird. And she hears a plane in the night. So she runs away from a little campfire and fires this flare gun. And as it's coming down, it lights up the sea and you see the silhouette of the sea monster stood up in the sea, like watching the flare. And that's like, oh, such a good moment. It's such a good scene. Really creepy. But it's actually a really good movie. And one of my favorite bits is it starts off with like a Jaws-esque scene of the camera moving under the water. So, you know, like in Jaws at the start where the camera's going under the water and it's supposed to be the shark. So it's kind of like that at the start. But yeah, highly recommend. It's a really good movie.
What's it called? Sweetheart?
Sweetheart. Yeah.
Nothing ever ends well if there's too much water about.
Take it from...
We're not the boss of the sea.
That'd just be a great line in one of these shit, like, shark films. We're not the boss of the sea.
And then the other thing is a huge fan of the show since the very beginning. So my mate Bob is always sending me like suggestions and have you seen this and have you seen that? And one of the ones he sent to me was Uncle Clunk. And there was this American, everyone knows these things, Showbiz Pizza. So Showbiz Pizza is one of those Chuck E. Cheese things that you see in all the movies and TV shows from the 80s in America where it's a big family restaurant with like arcades and games, and they've got the big animatronic band on stage and whatever. So Showbiz Pizza was one of these places, and their band was called the Rock-afire Explosion, and it's a classic like Five Nights at Freddy's or Willy's Wonderland, which even though they made Five Nights at Freddy's, is still the better Five Nights at Freddy's movie with Nicolas Cage.
Willy's Wonderland is amazing.
It's awesome, and he doesn't say a word, and I'm like, did they say, look, we really want you, but we've only got this much money left? And he's like, I just won't say anything. Okay, deal.
The music in Willy's Wonderland is amazing.
Yeah.
Sorry, you can carry on.
It is an awesome movie.
It's the only film I own on Blu-ray.
You probably should only
Genuinely.
own one on Blu-ray.
Like, what do you want to watch tonight?
That's that old school thing of like really locking in a movie that you like. You go out and buy it on DVD.
Well, I wanted to watch it, couldn't find it anywhere, and then I was like, I'll just buy the DVD. And the DVD was £10 and the Blu-ray was £11, and I was like, do you know what? I've had a good month.
A splash out. So they tried to like revive some of their profits, and they thought, oh, we'll introduce this new character called Uncle Clunk, who's supposed to be like a game show host. And someone's done this this big creepypasta story, and if you don't know what that is, like I didn't previously, creepypasta is basically just a rumor or a story that started online and becomes like a viral thing or a trend thing.
An urban myth.
So there's a lot of them. What was that one with that? Remember they used the picture from that artist's model, and it's that girl with the creepy wide mouth. It's called like Momo.
Oh,
or something.
Momo.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the bane of my fucking life. I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
And Jesus fuck, it's like, it's not real. No one's killing people because of this stupid fucking video. It's not happening. And we're having parents ringing up going, I'm worried about my 17-year-old son. It's like, you should be, but not for this reason. There's so many other things that's wrong with this kid.
I'm worried about you.
Did you ever see the creepypasta where a bunch of people on the internet tried to convince the world that there was another member of the Simpsons family called Graggle Simpson? I'm gonna post a picture in the chat now. It's basically that he doesn't even look like a normal cartoon character from the Simpsons, and they basically edited him in the loads of stills from the Simpsons, even like the really early ones, and changed the thing. And then they just tried to convince everybody that Graggle Simpson was like a member of the Simpsons family that everyone's forgot about. Tried to like gaslight. Like, they started to make like knockoff models of the Simpsons like toys as well, and just like put him into merchandise and just like randomly sell it on the internet.
I love those the obvious plant toys, and when people don't understand and they post it as like a real thing. They're so good.
But it gets to the point where I know for a fact that the Simpsons writers will probably capitalize on this and actually put him into the Simpsons eventually.
So yeah, Uncle Clunk was this. So it's like when you look at the model, it's just horrific. It's the scariest looking for a place that was supposed to. So this is obviously supposed to appeal to children. Oh my God. The model itself is terrifying. And if you watch the creepypasta YouTube thing about Uncle Clunk, it's basically saying that they only produced a few and they put them in all these restaurants, and they were immediately returned because of all these horrible things that happened and a lot of deaths and unexplained things. And they only happened in the restaurants where they had an Uncle Clunk, and they were trying to say that there was something wrong with the whole line of them, and they were causing these like supernatural events and whatever. That's the whole point of and it's told by the storyteller is claiming that their brother died in an accident related to Uncle Clunk as well. They don't put the voice or anything like that. They just show the animatronic thing moving, and it makes it so creepy in that. But then when you dig a bit further and you actually see the actual Uncle Clunk, and he's got the voice in it as well, it's actually quite funny and he's quite nice. And there's nothing sinister about him at all. But when you take the voice away, it is creepy and horrible. But basically, the reason they were all returned is because they didn't do anything for profits, and it was a massive loss. And it was, the sort of downfall of Showbiz Pizza, not caused by Uncle Clunk, but just they were desperately trying to introduce new characters and do new things when the whole sort of business model was failing. So that's the creepy. You should go and look at it on Uncle Clunk on YouTube, because it is super creepy. But it was one of the most, at the time, I think it was the most advanced animatronic ever made, because the amount of movements and things involved in it. But when you see it without his voice, wow, it's quite terrifying.
There's a guy I follow on TikTok, and he works in a Chuck E. Cheese in America, and he sometimes shows like the behind the scenes, and even still now, they use floppy disk to send like the new routines to like programming songs for the bands. Like come up with the animatronics, like goes, oh, new routine day, and like opens up a an envelope, which is like literally a floppy disk, and he just puts it in. It loads up like clicks and beats.
So anyway, that led me to this other one called, it just popped up. There's a documentary from 2008 called The Rock-afire Explosion, which was the name of the band from Showbiz Pizza. And it's about this guy, and he's a weird cat. So if you just see the photo of him, you're like, yep, okay. So his name is Chris Thrash, and he loved going there so much, and he loved this band so much that it was his childhood dream and lifelong passion to one day own that band. Not work there or become a manager or become an owner of the chain or anything like that. He just wanted the band in his house.
He just wants to do things with animatronics.
And there was no guidance from parents like, well, every day you can have those set up there on the stage in your own Showbiz Pizza. Like, don't even aim that high. He was like, no, I just want to have them in my house at home. And he did it. Documentaries about him obtaining and tracking down and getting the whole band that are set up in his house. And that's it. That's his life's work.
Is he a single man by any chance?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So we've got 10,000 Wasps. We've got a creepy Chuck E. Cheese band. What kind of other shit are people going to try and bring into their house to repel the opposite sex?
Well, if you're going to ask anyone, ask men.
Imagine you go on a date with someone and then you go back to their place and you open the door and it's like, dun, 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 there's a fucking dancing bear.
I've got something to show you.
Do you like music? Yeah, sure.
You just close your eyes and wait for the axe to hit your head, wouldn't you?
If you like music, you'll love this. Do you like animals? Yeah. Do you like robots? Like, I don't like the way this is going. That's three very different things.
Oh, God, you'd need to get something out of your car at that point, wouldn't you? Oh, I just forgot. I just need to get something out of the car.
But Kirsty, you can't drive. Yeah, I know. I'll be back.
Trying all the door handles in the street.
One of these has got to learn to drive. I'm going to go learn to drive, buy a car and put something in it so that I can leave.
So that was my week in horror. I thought I was going to proudly present my certificate. Hopefully I get it by episode 10 to round out these series as a certified, someone with a certificate that says ghosts on it.
Your check is cleared. That's what.
I could just make it myself. That's all they're doing.
They finally find the lamination splips and send it off to him.
They've had to order more of that ghost letterhead.
You're quickly losing credibility with the ghost hunting community by not having your certification.
I can't help but feel I'm losing work. I'm losing money as I sit here. I'm going to have to try and claim this somehow.
You go to like a haunted house. They're like, have you got your identification, please?
It's like those people, like, it hasn't come yet and you're trying to show them the email. I'm like,
It's like, anyway, we were watching Only Fools and Horses the other day, and it's like they on the front of his 3-wheel van, he always had a little sticker that just said "tax in post." That's what you need. You see the little badge go certification in post.
And he used to put the thing that said midwife on it when he parked anywhere. Tax in post. Oh, why does that remind me so much of Dad?
Because he probably thought that was a genuine, like, workaround and tried it himself.
Yeah, it's exactly the sort of thing Dad would do.
Dad's the only person I know who would, like, watch Only Fools and Horses as if it was some sort of documentary. He'd be like, do you think that would work?
Dad, are you taking notes?
Would that work in real life? No, it's a comedy show. Huh. Yeah, but I mean, it'd buy you some time. It's like, Dad, just pay your tax.
There's nothing to stop us bottling the tap water and selling it as a spring water. Yes, there is.
Dad, why are we burying a hose? Just shut up and dig.
Continuing on with, as I mentioned earlier, with the Stephen King theme, I included 4 movies, and as part of the second week of the Retro Roundup 80s special. And these 4 movies are all Stephen King adaptations, but they all form a partnership between Stephen King and the producer Dino De Laurentiis. So Dino De Laurentiis' production company basically did a significant number of Stephen King adaptations through the 80s. These ones are all in successive years, which pretty much form a basis of the overall early Stephen King adaptations of the 1980s. But starting off with The Dead Zone, which is actually a pretty early feature by David Cronenberg as well. He actually made this and Videodrome in the same year. So he was actually burning the midnight oil just to make those 2 films in the same year. Like Videodrome and The Dead Zone were made literally back to back. Yeah, so basically The Dead Zone starts off with Christopher Walken, who's a school teacher, and he ends up going on a date with his girlfriend. But this is like it's got the weirdest start to the beginning of the film. Like, he's a school teacher and he's just given a normal lesson, and then he walks out the school with his girlfriend, and then they're randomly on a roller coaster. It's like that's where they're going for their date at the end of the school day. Like, what time does the school day end? And why is the fairground still open? Like, there's nobody else there as well. It's just an empty fairground, and he starts to get a headache on the roller coaster. And then when they get off, she's like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's just a headache." And then she offers him to like come into her house at the end of the night when they're going driving back. It's just like a weird setup. It's like go from the school, then they're on a roller coaster, and then they're outside a house, and it's nighttime. There's no in between, like where they're going and what they're doing in between that. But she offers for him to come in, but he says, "No, I'm going to go home." And on the way home, he ends up getting into a car accident, and then he ends up falling into a coma. And within that time space of him being in a coma, 5 years has passed, and he's got married, and basically he's now being rehabilitated. But for some reason, while he was in the coma, and between when he wakes up, he's now got the ability to see how people die, and just by like touching their hand. But one of the things I just want to touch on is there's always a thing when you watch 80s movies or even movies from the past about how the age range of people is completely it's over exaggerated. Like, people, when you look at actors in the past and they're supposed to be like, you have elderly people in a film, and then you find out that when they were playing that elderly person, they were only like about 30 or something like that, and it's just like it's like a completely insane premise. But the woman who plays Christopher Walken's mum in The Dead Zone is played by Jackie Burrows, who's actually an English actress from Southport. Now, I'm going to post her picture in the chat, and she passed away in 2010 at the age of 71. This film was made in 1983. She must have only been in her 40s or something. I mean, she was.
Yep, that looks about right. If you take the glasses off, that's basically what I look like.
Makes about 10 woodbines an hour. But,
well, if she's from Southport, she would have aged prematurely, especially in the 80s.
Like, I looked up notable people from Southport, and it was Jackie Burrows and the Hangman, Albert Pierpoint. I was just like, okay, it seems legit.
Get those plaques up around the town.
Yeah.
That's what we've got in Runcorn. We've got like
not the Hangman.
we've got loads of notable people plaques, and some of them are like not that notable. The guy who does it is such a nice guy, but it's like this was it's like the first women's world pool champion went to this school, and you're like, right?
Briefly,
is that the best we could do?
Kirsty, weren't you responsible for getting a certain plaque put up in a Widnes train station?
Yes, I was.
Paul Simon couldn't wait to get away from here. So much so, in fact, that he wrote the hit song.
Whilst in Widnes, Paul Simon wrote a song about desperately wanting to go home.
It's like one of those like ones that the city council puts up. It's like, Widnes, you can't wait to leave. Home never looks so good.
Just like Paul Simon, you'll want to go home.
I saw something on that as well, where they had people put up a blue plaque, and it was this is the location of where Brian Harvey from E17 almost accidentally ran over himself with a car after eating too many baked potatoes. Because that was the excuse that he gave to the press after he accidentally ran over his head with his own car.
Too many potatoes.
It was rolling down. Yeah, he's like in a daze. Because he got out of the car and like ended up falling over, and the handbrake was off, and he rolled over his own head. But yeah, as I mentioned before, when I was speaking about the Dead Zone prior to speaking about it now, it just shows. In some cases, Stephen King can be a literary genius, but in some cases not. A case in point is the main character of this story is called Johnny Smith. But he can't even be bothered to put up a decent name.
He could have called Arnie and said, "What name would you pick for this role?"
Alan Murgatroyd. Great, we've got it. Thanks, Arnie.
Alan Murgatroyd.
Why Alan?
You need an anodyne first name. You need a boring first name, and then a ridiculous last name. That's the. Don't steal that. That's in my book. That's in my horror book.
No, it's not. I'm stealing that.
Alan Murgatroyd got out of his mid-priced sedan and glanced towards the co-op. I wonder if the vouchers are out yet, he thought.
Oh.
Note to self: do not give any more character names from your book.
Also, just obviously, the more you look into Stephen King books, you realise how he kind of reuses the format quite a bit. Like, there's a whole bit where the general cusp of the Dead Zone is that one of the people he ends up touching by shaking hands with him is a political candidate who's played by Martin Sheen, who, if you kind of work around it, this is kind of like a mirror version of the character he played in The West Wing, because he eventually becomes president in the Dead Zone. This is like evil Jed Bartlett from The West Wing. But when he touches his hand as well, he has like the most like weirdest vision ever, because like he touches his hand and then it's just basically Martin Sheen in the White House, and he's just like getting him to open the thing. He's like, I want to do it now. I want to like nuke everyone now. It's like, is there nobody else just behind him just going, this isn't a good idea? It's like you let one guy and you think, he's just going to it's literally a big button under the desk. He just goes, I'm going to do it right now. The whole premise is that he has to take out the guy before he can sort of end the world.
Mm.
But also as well, there was a TV series of The Dead Zone, which ran for like absolutely years. Which had Anthony Michael Hall playing the Christopher Walken role. It's like, how did they fall on that casting for the TV series? Like, I know we're going to get the guy from The Breakfast Club and 16 Candles to be Christopher Walken. It ran for 80 episodes and 6 series on the Sci-Fi Channel. Like, how do they get the premise of it? But it's an overall good film, but it's just a bit of a silly premise mixed in with a lot of over-the-top acting, and also a bit of an appearance by Tom Skerritt, which is something that's always good to see in any film. But moving on to the second adaptation of Dino De Laurentiis produced Stephen King novel, you have Firestarter, which is one of those more sort of basic Stephen King adaptations. It's pretty easy to sort of pile there. Martin Sheen also appears in this as well. It's just like this is like a revolving door of actors that they like to use in various Stephen King adaptations. But the whole plot of it is the little girl is basically her parents are subject to like a government experiment into like unlocking psychic potential. Now, they don't manage to really get anything unlocked, but they actually to get together and have a kid who ends up having the ability to control fire, and they obviously want to use her to become like a living weapon. It's just basically an excuse for Drew Barrymore, fresh off E.T., to basically like blow stuff up with like the power of her mind and that. So many mad explosions and like shots of boiling water and stuff. But it also has like a really good part where just everything in the room's melting. She's like going crazy, and like all the toys are melting, and all sorts of bits like that. It's just one of them films where I first remember seeing Firestarter on like Bravo, on like Analog Sky, and they had like a horror movie night. It's one of them sort of like complete fodder movies. It's not. It's only recently been readapted as well. So there's been a second adaptation of it done in the most recent few years. Which, I mean, to be honest, it's one of them films where you can sort of take it or leave it, really. But it's definitely one of the ones to watch if you want sort of like an old, not really much to it, but it's just sort of a bombastic sort of thriller, really, that has the premise that a little girl can burn stuff with the powers of her mind, which in all cases is absolutely horrible premise, but it's viewed pretty intensely. But the reboot had Zac Efron in it as well, which just seems to be showing up in everything these days.
Needs to pay those gym fees somehow.
But yeah, Zac Efron was the dad. Yeah, and Ryan Kira Armstrong is the little girl from. He's been in a lot of stuff like American Horror Story and things. He plays the Drew Barrymore character in the remake, but it definitely one to catch out. I think like a lot of these 1980s Stephen King adaptations all follow the same sort of random premise where there's like either government agencies or person is being tracked down by like less than reputable people to try and take them out. But I think the whole premise of it, it's kind of like whole premise of the fact that she's been like given powers by the government is one of the more sort of intrigue parts of it. But also the agency called the Shop in Firestarter do show up in quite a few Stephen King books as well. So it's another one of those sort of interlinked plot theories about in his books. But one of the things as well is that when they were making Firestarter, it basically led on to the next film on this list. So basically, when they were making Firestarter, that's the whole point where the little girl has the ability to control fire, and they liked Drew Barrymore so much in that film that it led on to Cat's Eye from 1985, which has Drew Barrymore as a little girl. She only really shows up at the very end of the film as an actual actress, but they liked her so much in that film that they wanted to put her into another one. And Cat's Eye basically is 3 different stories. So there's one that's made just for the film, which is called The General, which is basically about the little girl as like a troll in a bedroom. But that's like the last story in the anthology of the 2 parts. But the first part of the anthology is a story called Quitters Inc., which is from, I believe it's from the Night Shift collection, where it got like one of the weirdest premises of a story that I've seen in a long time. I completely forgot about this. So basically, James Woods is a guy who's trying to give up smoking, and he goes to this agency called Quitters Inc. And what they basically is, it's run by the mafia, and you sign up to like, it's got like 100% success rate of helping you quit, and they basically go, if you don't give up cigarettes, we're going to kill you. And they basically like torture him until he's like at the point where he's an absolute psychological wreck, and he starts having like these hallucinations. There's a bit where he's in a dinner party where he like everybody around him is suddenly smoking. And I was watching my YouTube explanations of the film and like the production history and so on. And apparently, one of the bits that they were going to put into the film, but they decided not to, is that James Woods was going to be constantly antagonized by a invisible character that only he can see, but it was a man in a giant cigarette costume. Obviously, they didn't go with that, but if they did, it would have certainly made a whole different film. But the next part of the film is basically called The Ledge. This guy, which was a Stephen King short story that he published in Penthouse as part of the Night Shift collection. But it's basically this guy is sleeping with like a crime boss's wife. So he basically says that he won't kill him, but what he's got to do is he's got to walk around the edge of this like really tall building. So the whole point of it is he goes out on the ledge of the building. He's got to like walk around it, and he doesn't do it in the way Crocodile Dundee does, where he's just like, I'm just chilling out for a stroll, and obviously he's terrifying. But some of the things in the production were pretty good. Where I was watching it, where they didn't have him obviously on the ledge of the building. What they did is they had like a Scalextric track going around the building, and it was like a foot off the ground with like really tiny cars. So where there's like cars going past in the background, like, yeah, it's just like model cars. I was like, oh, that's brilliant. But the underpinning of the story is that for some reasons around the cat is like, in the first series, he's like outside the building, and then the next he's like walking around by the bottom of the casino where the crime boss has. It sort of links into where he's trying to make his way back to the Drew Barrymore character. And that leads into the final story, which is probably, it's dead comical, but basically there's a troll. There's a little troll in this girl's bedroom, and he comes to try and kill them. Do you think how have they done that? But when you watch the videos of the making of it, what they did is they built giant sets, and then they just put a dwarf in a troll costume, and then everything's like exaggerated, so it's like a giant bed and a giant chair. Apparently, it won a Guinness World Record for world's largest bed.
That's the only award it won.
More than likely, but
on the DVD box cover, it'd be like winner of the biggest bed award.
I'm just going to post a photo in the chat of the troll, because it is like this is the costume that they made the guy wear. Like, everything's shot in like a lot of darkness, but it's just really strange. It's like he's like holding like a knife, and plus the climax of this,
a little green feather.
I know, yeah. The climax of this film is though that the troll and the cat have a fight on top of Drew Barrymore while she's like laid in bed, she like wakes up from the sleep, and she's woken up not by a troll who's trying to steal her breath, but by a troll and the cat fighting like on top of her. But yeah, Cat's Eye was the second effort in the Dino De Laurentiis and Stephen King cooperation. This leads on to the final movie, which, I mean, it's probably the worst rated movie of the four mentioned, but it's definitely my favourite, which is 1986's Maximum Overdrive, which is not only the screenplay by Stephen King, but it's also his debut and also his today only directorial debut as well, which is the whole premise of Maximum Overdrive is basically that any machine comes alive to basically try and kill people. There's a whole convoluted plot about there being a comet or something, but they're basically stuck in like a truck stop restaurant place, and the main antagonist of the film is like a giant truck filled with toys that's got the Green Goblin's head on the front of the lorry. But it's just the best part of the film is it doesn't take itself too seriously, and there's just so many setups for ridiculousness to happen. Like, the film also has one of the first screen appearances of Giancarlo Esposito, who's obviously become a megastar actor in recent years, with appearances in Breaking Bad and The Mandalorian and lots of other different things. But in this, he's just a guy who gets electrocuted by a pinball machine.
Can happen to anyone.
It can happen to absolutely anybody. But there's like a kid who ends up taking refuge at the truck stop. His whole like baseball team get taken out by either like a ball launching machine, or like things like lawn mowers, or this whole thing with like a carving knife tries to kill a chef. And also one of the characters in, who's one of the survivors who's holed up at the truck stop, is Yeardley Smith from The Simpsons. And there's no way you can watch this without just thinking that it's Lisa Simpson.
I am the Lizard Queen!
Because she's like the only person who doesn't do a voice for The Simpsons. Like, she's literally just, Lisa Simpson is her voice, and every scene with her in it is just Lisa Simpson. the film starts off with a Stephen King cameo right out of the bat. It was like, I'm just going to get this out of the way. Just like straight away. It's like, they're going to know it's me. I mean, he gets called an arsehole by a cash machine. But that's literally how he does it. He just basically said that he did it A, for the money, B, because he wanted to direct a film, and C, because he loves trucks.
Was he 6?
Don't know. There was a whole point as well where I was watching another thing about the making of it, just to get myself a bit more information to do this review, and he was basically like, the actors like Emilio Estevez is the main character in it. He plays like a guy who's fresh out of jail and like his on his like parole job is like flipping burgers in a truck stop kitchen, and towards the end of the making of the film, they were just like, yeah, he's got no idea what he's doing. And he did get a whole interview with Stephen King like prior to the release of the film. And he's like, I didn't really care about the characters. I just wanted to do something cool with trucks.
Emilio Estevez is like, it's the Mr. Burns movie in The Simpsons. Get me Charlie Sheen. He's unavailable. Well, then get me his non-union Mexican equivalent.
Oh, yeah, plus it's like Martin Sheen's been in 2 of these films, and now his son's in one of them. It's like he had a pretty good relationship with Stephen King adaptations. But first time I ever remember seeing Maximum Overdrive was on like Channel 4 at like 3:00 in the morning at some ridiculous time, just while they had to do he had like random films on. But the whole premise of the film as well is that they've got to wait for the comet to pass. But there's absolutely no way anyone is going to beat a truck in a fight. It's like human versus truck. Like, what can you do?
Man versus a car.
That's something that Stephen King found out firsthand when he was hit by one.
Are you okay? I'm better than okay. I've got an idea.
I always remember that when he got hit by that truck after it was all over with and he was rehabilitated, he bought the truck that he was hit by just to take it to a junkyard and like beat the shit out of the truck with like a baseball bat, like saws and stuff.
Ah, the rich.
I can't help but think that Stephen King was the originator of them rage rooms that you can get where you just people put like old TVs and things. Like Stephen King by proxy invented the rage room. But yeah,
it's funny. Me and Kath went to one of those once, and they give you these like crates of things you can destroy, and we immediately, this is how rage filled we are. We immediately picked out this little. It's an egg cup, but it's a swan, like a ceramic one. We were like, that's low, and we were like, can we? We were going to smash these, and he's like, yeah. It's like, can we take things? And he's like, if you want. And the mother-in-law's just come to visit, and she's brought it with her. And it just reminded me when you went to one of those break-it rooms, and the first thing we did was rescue this ceramic swan egg cup. I was like, we're fucking badasses.
But the Dead Zone fighter starts at that time, Maximum Overdrive, were 4 movies made between 1983 and 1986, which all were varying degrees of decent adaptations of Stephen King.
Two things I want to mention is it reminded me. So Cat's Eye with the little troll and the cat, the terrible Katie Holmes remake of Don't Be Afraid of the Dark in 2010. I remember watching it once, and the 2000s are just a horrible time for movies in general. Anyway, so there's all these little tiny monsters that live in this house that are trying to get the girl, and it's quite nasty in the end, actually, and they're not very nice looking things. But I was like, all they need to do is get a cat, because there'd be no weird instances. There'd be nothing. Oh, that's strange. What was that noise? What was that creeping? They just keep finding these little dead headless bodies around the house. Like, oh, cat got another one. What is it? I don't know. And the other thing was, looking at the Dead Zone on Google, and in the images, I get the Dead Zone, and it's like this action movie sort of looking cover, and it's Tubi, and I was like, oh yeah. And something that kind of happened so quickly I didn't even notice was, so Tubi, Tubi, little app with a rabbit on it. It's not now, it used to be. And it was like a rabbit hole. That was the whole point of it, because you go down the rabbit hole, and it had all these, and I've watched heaps of movies on there, because they have like, if there's a movie you can't find, there's a good chance that it's on Tubi. It's one of these weird apps. It's got adverts and stuff in it, but you can watch movies that you would otherwise not be able to watch unless you manage to download them from somewhere. So that was the whole point of it. And then its logo changed, I noticed, when I was looking on my apps on my phone. And since then, it's just black romantic comedies and or black erotica. Like every time you open the app, it's like a lot of scantily clad women, and it's all black actors in these movies, like straight to TV, straight to video, whatever movies. And one of them I was looking for a soundbite for the episode where we did the Lawnmower Man of the chimpanzee, which mission accomplished. But I was like, oh, I know where I'll find it, Tubi, because I couldn't find it anywhere, right? And it was like, yep, Lawnmower Man. And I started watching it, and I was like, this isn't the Lawnmower Man. And again, it's a like a black romantic comedy called Lawnmower Man. They've also got Dead Zone, and now I've looked, and it's now changed, and it's no longer Tubi, the rabbit hole where you find movies you wouldn't find elsewhere. It's now watch free black cinema online, and that's all it is now.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, but like some of the so Hood Riches 2. Who? Question mark.
For like every Tyler Perry movie ever made. He goes, did you like Medea Christmas? How about Medea Halloween?
If you'd never seen The Lawnmower Man and you just heard someone say The Lawnmower Man, you're like, oh, that's supposed to be a good movie. You would get to the end of this and be like, look like a regular old lawnmower to me. A Lawnmower Man.
It's just a guy with a lawnmower.
How far do you need to get into Lawnmower Man before you realise it's not the film that you were like, that's not Pierce Brosnan.
6 seconds it took me.
It's the toys.
Demonic toys. Playtime has begun.
I was in B&M Bargains, and I was in the toy section, and they had these like just horrible dolls that I was like, no kid is ever going to want it. But they're kind of in the Bratz tradition of dolls, so they're kind of chunky, they've got massive eyes, but they're like, so I thought this was a girl doll, but it's not. It's a boy doll. He's got like braids and plaits. He's a basketball player, but he's also like dead. And it would have been quite a cool doll if it was just, oh, it's a basketball player. But he's also, this is Shadow High, these dolls. And so he's just like, he's just pale blue skin. And he comes with like sunglasses and an energy drink and a basketball. But they've just made this skin blue. And that's really odd. And that's not even the word. And then there's another one from Shadow High called Rex McQueen. He is black. And when I say black, he's jet black. Like he's just.
I'm looking at that now.
He's not
black.
black as in he's brown. It's like he's jet black. And I just thought these are such unattractive dolls. Like, why would anybody want to play with it? I can't imagine the situation in which you would want to play with these things. Rex comes with a laptop.
Which one it says, let your true colours shine.
Yeah.
But,
and like,
I mean, there are no colours.
No, you're true.
Isn't that the...
Yeah, so this whole doll, every single thing.
True colours is all the colours.
Pitch black. And he's even got a t-shirt that says, I don't sparkle, I just love shade. And it's like, all right. I'll just have shade.
Yeah, I was reading that. I don't sparkle, I just have shade. And I'm like, that's one of Kirsty's t-shirts.
That doesn't make any sense. It's like... Yeah. It is like one of those t-shirts that's been badly translated back into, from Chinese.
And then it looks like it says anti-sparkle something t-shirt company.
I can't help but think these are knockoffs of was it Monster High?
Monster High.
Yeah, they are. But they've just...
Which were like the Bratz style thing.
Well, they've been so lazy with it that they're like, well, what... Should we make like a... I don't know, should it be like a Frankenstein's monster type thing? Or like a... a vampire? It's like, no, just make him jet black. Everything about him black. What about the basketball player? Pale blue, like a bruise. Like, just get the most horrible color palette you can find. Put it on these dolls. Kids will love that. It's like, they will not. They're so fucking ugly.
They were with the manufacturers and they were like, what are your cheapest colours?
Yeah, and it's like, was $22.99, now $12. It's like, I don't think anyone ever wanted to pay $22.99 for this thing. It's actually, like, with a normal skin tone, it'd be quite a nice doll. It's like, just make a nice doll. Like, of a basketball player. That'd be cool. Like, a kid would enjoy that. Not this weird, sickly...
Of his accessories. So his t-shirt says, I don't sparkle, I just have shade anti-sparkle t-shirt company. But then his drink bottle is Gatorade logo, but it says Glitterade.
Yeah. And then
so glitter's okay.
He seems to have
sparkle not okay.
It doesn't.
And then he's got
sense.
a laptop and he's got a phone, but then a separate case for the phone. It's like, enjoy playing for seconds. Putting the phone in the
case. I'm like, what are you playing? You're playing with your Shadow High dolls? It's like, yeah, I'm playing with Rex McQueen. What's he doing? Oh, he's just shit posted on Reddit. There's his laptop. Yes. About hating Twilight.
He's writing Monster High fan fiction.
But it's funny, it's like, what are kids, like the accessories, what do kids do nowadays? Like, you can imagine the dolls that you used to get, 30, 40 years ago. What do kids play with nowadays? Like, give them a phone case and an energy drink. That's a kid's accessories nowadays.
That's what they like.
Oh yeah, the other one has got a phone and Glitterade and a basketball.
And some wraparound shades, which I do not think fit on that. They don't fit on that doll.
My sport goggles.
They're like, they don't fit that doll. You can tell they don't fit. Some kid's going to be like, oh, I'll just put his shades on. Oh, they don't fit. What does he do with them? Oh, they just holds them. His head's too bulbous.
That's where you realise that your auntie for your birthday got you something from B&M Bargains. Yeah. The sunglasses don't fit. Oh.
Yeah, it's B&M, isn't it? I'll let you know if they get to like a $5. I'm definitely having one, by the way. I'll just see what the fuck it's about later.
Despite what I just said. Make no mistake.
What I just said. And I've also got I didn't know whether to put this in needful things or toys, but they are toys, I guess. Just because we've mentioned it so much, they actually have Yellow Jackets Funko Pops now. And
the hell is a Funko Pop?
You don't know what a Funko Pop is? What the fuck? Do they not have Funko Pops in Australia?
If they do, I'm unaware.
Shit! Can you see the picture? So everyone in the world knows what a Funko Pop is, except Australia.
Oh, those things.
Yeah,
those things.
All right, okay. So this is from Worlds Apart, the comic book shop in Liverpool.
That's a funny name. I'd have called him Chaz Wallace.
They used to be a comic book store, and now it's pretty much 90% Funko Pops in there. And I went in. I was looking for I can't even remember why I was in. I was just browsing because I had time to kill. And I was like, oh wow, they've got Thaisa, they've got Shauna, they've got Ben with his crutch, which is weird, and Van. Like they've got like the cool Yellow Jackets Funko Pops, but there's no way someone is paying full price for these. So I'm just going to wait until they drop the price and buy them all because it's not that popular a show.
My problem with these, especially when they do these special edition, when they do movies and whatever, is they don't have a lot of features. So they still don't really look like anyone, like the character at all. It's the only ones that are good are the ones where they have some sort of costume or some other identifying feature other than their face, because they basically don't have a face. So like if they didn't have those face masks and things, you'd be like, I've no idea what that is supposed to be.
Yeah, and if I'm honest, when I'm looking at the Thaisa one, I don't recall her having that thing on her face. Like I don't know what episode that's from. I'm sure she did. I'm sure
she wears it in. She wears it in. Remember when they have that little like school dance or prom thing?
The Doom.
That's when Van gets the face covering because she's all fucked up, and Thaisa wears one as well.
Right, so I get it. Okay, so it's from those kind of. But like, yeah, I just thought I'd throw those in because I'm going to be waiting until they.
But again, that only happened for a small part of one episode. It's just that, like, how would you differentiate it from other characters other than, well, put the face mask on her then? Because it's not her face.
Yeah.
It's just it's the same face that they all have.
Yeah, I've noticed that. So, going back to the Ramones briefly, like there's a band I really like called the Cribs, and I was in a shop and I was like, oh my god, they've got a Ryan Jarman Funko Pop. That's so weird from the Cribs. Like that's very niche. It wasn't. It was Dee Dee Ramone. But it's just the same haircut. It's just like a black bowl haircut with a fringe and like some skinny jeans and a leather jacket. I was like, it's Ryan Jarman. No way.
You could easily just pass it off as Ryan Jarvis because no one's going to know.
Oh, I know that, but like, I just thought it was.
And I did.
I was really confused at the time. I was like, are they big enough to have Funko Pops made of them? Have I just? Are they? So that's my toys.
All right, Jed.
Yeah, so I'd say it's a really good lead-in, to be honest, because I've got one entry which continues on with the Stephen King theme. So there was a company that were absolutely absorbed into Funko Pop Empire, and they released the series now, which is Funko Frost, a large evil corporation for the Vinyl Idols range. And they're a little bit more easy to actually ascertain who the characters are. But I'll just post a Pinterest list, which has got a load of different versions of the characters. But they did two adaptations of Stephen King novels, which is The Shining, and he did Carrie. But the faces on them are just hilarious. It's just it kind of
those are awesome.
I know, yeah. It kind of looks like Wallace, like a sort of Aardman animation, like Wallace and Gromit type sort of weird thing, but the concept art that they have for some of the ranges that they were going to do before they were sort of supplemented into Funko's Empire are absolutely hilarious. Like some of the characters are so niche as well. Yeah, you have the entire like one of the first things posted is Seinfeld, and they have George Costanza's dad with the aluminum pole.
The Festivus pole. They're incredible.
Oh no, yeah, they just have there's endless different characters. That
Ned
they have.
Ryerson from Groundhog Day.
Oh, I love The Shining, the Shelley Duvall figure from The Shining.
They've got one where it's Jack Nicholson from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Like even just like random pop culture characters. They've got John Hurt's character from Aliens with the face burster like hanging out of his chest. They've got all sorts of random characters.
They've got John Candy from Planes, Trains and Automobiles. Oh my god. I can just see my wages disappearing.
But are these just concept art? These aren't real?
I think they do. I think the majority of these are part of the line for it as well, yeah. So a lot of these are actual ones they released, which are called Vinyl Idols. So there's a lot of them that were released as well, but the company was actually supplemented into Funko Pop, so they release them every so often. But you've got things like where it's like horror icons, so they have like the rabbit from Donnie Darko, Leatherface, Frankenstein, like the little thing that rides around on a bicycle in Saw. But they're all very sort of weird and exaggerated looking things, but they're certainly a lot better than the sort of exaggerated bobbleheads of Funko
Yeah, these
Pops.
are really cool.
They have a couple that were released where they did the entire cast of say Young Frankenstein. So you've like the monsters, and they're all done in black and white. So a lot of them are like really good. They did it was a UK animation studio that was bought by Funko Pop. So a lot of their stuff is sort of discontinued, but they still release stuff every now and again. But it's still fairly hard to
There's
get.
loads on eBay, including for £2.49 plus postage, Jeff Spicoli from Fast Times at Ridgemont High,
Spicoli.
which is a really random. Peter LaFleur from Dodgeball. Like
And,
There's some good ones.
Just before I forget, as part of the Shining range, not only can you get the cast, but you can actually get a Stanley Kubrick. So I posted a picture of him in the chat. And he's wearing the carpet of the jumper.
Yeah, that's good. Mine are still in the vintage toys era. So the first one, I had one of these. These were just toys. They were just everywhere. There just seemed to be a lot of horror toys available in the 80s. But there's this one where it was like an ugly face and you put your fingers in the back of it and you could use it. It was like a puppet, but it was like this smelly like rubber thing. And it was one of those.
I had one of them.
It's that rubber where it's the same stuff the Boglins was made out of, where it feels like it's wet, but it's not. And they did quite a lot of those, and they did Halloween ones as well, where you could get like a Dracula and stuff like that. But that was just the ugly man face. Then I've got
just before you move on, Paul. I just want to point out the thing that you posted in the chat into the chat. Underneath it has the thing where it's just cut off, and it says, "I've been working on a life-size sculpture of Jack Nicholson's head."
Yeah, I saw that.
It's just cut off, and you can just see the top of the head.
Monster spitballs. These are just the things. They were just everything was a monster toy. It seemed in the 80s. These were not like Halloween or anything. They were just readily available. There was heaps. And my favorite thing about these is, so it's basically just a ball with a Frankenstein head, or it's Dracula's head, and you put water in it and you squirt the water at people. They've got a little hole in the mouth and it squirts it out. My favorite thing about them is the artwork on the packet. On the top, there's Frankenstein and Dracula playing with them, like squirting each other. And they've got these like, just their expressions are like they're just having such a good time.
I grew up in a house with 3 brothers. Like, there was no way that we would have had these without it being a complete nightmare.
Yeah.
It's like,
tears and screaming.
would have led to so many like broken faces.
And then finally, for this section, and this is the point that I've made a few times with these toys. This is a horror movie for adults that kids would not or should not have seen. So Aliens, I would not let my kids watch Aliens because it would give them nightmares because it's fucking aliens, right? But the toys, they bring out all these horror toys that kids are going to play with, even though hopefully they would never see the movie. So it's a bit weird. But this one goes like the alien figures, sure, because to a kid, it's just like a monster figure. They don't need to see the movie. And there's heaps of them to collect and all that sort of thing. So it ticks all the boxes. But this one's just a bit too in depth. It's the alien egg chamber. It's the chamber where they go in and the face huggers come out and one of the kids looks like she's screaming.
The HR guy could place that.
But it's not. And I was looking for the obvious plant thing or something similar, but it's not. This was an actual real toy for kids, but it's a very detailed, Geiger alien egg chamber with figures who go into the chamber. And I'm like, I sure sell the toys to kids because it's just a monster alien toy, but this is just getting too into the movie now for kids. And the kids playing with it are like 8 as well. And yeah, she's screaming like she's just seen the movie Alien that her dad showed her because she's playing with the toys. That's what I would imagine their face would look like.
I had toys for Terminator 2. Like, there's no way I had wireless Terminator 2 when I was like 5.
The toy line. It was a different time.
Welcome to Needful Things.
I'm only going to do a few because I did have other stuff, but I got totally sidetracked by this prop auction that was going on from Planet Hollywood.
We all.
Just a few little favourites. So, number 1 from Titanic, a frozen baby.
He would.
So obviously, and I've seen I've only seen Titanic once. Is there a bit where you see a baby frozen floating in the sea? Because I kind of remember it, but I don't know whether that's real or not. So that was
obviously there is.
Well, I know, but I don't know whether it was screen used or they don't always say if they're actually used on screen. There's also the silent.
They made it and they were like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?
We shouldn't do this. We'll just sell it to Planet Hollywood."
Who told you to make that?
There is the Silence of the Lambs. It's the exotic moth kimono that Buffalo Bill wears, which
Wouldn't you love to have that as just a dressing gown?
I would answer the door in it. I would just like to.
Well,
just like,
Kirsty, I'm so sorry, but if that was the actual one and designed to be worn by Ted Levine, it might be a bit big.
they'd know what it was. When we talked about the people under the stairs the other week as well, there's they had the mechanical puppy Prince, the Rottweiler, and that was only $825 for that. I was like,
and it's mechanical.
Yeah, it's mechanical. It works and everything. And then my personal favorite, which I really the first horror film I ever saw, which scared the shit out of me because I was only 9 when I saw it, was Nightmare on Elm Street 3: Dream Warriors. And there's a kid in a wheelchair in this film, and when he goes to like the nightmare place, he's in this horrible like torture wheelchair, and they've got the chair, and I really want it. There's so many cool things. I don't want to mention all of them, but like I just couldn't believe how much stuff like the Barbasol can from Jurassic Park was on there.
God, that would be a fortune, surely.
Well, I don't. So I screenshotted these weeks ago, and the Barbasol can at that point the bid was 32 grand. So it's got to have gone for more than that because it's such an iconic prop. They also have Annie Wilkes' sledgehammer from Misery. They had a thing from the Addams Family, $600. So obviously they had more than one.
What?
Well, there was more than one because they had like like the actual hand, didn't they? And then they had all the different props. But still, this one's holding the golf ball, so that's quite an iconic. When he's holding the holds the golf ball in the
yeah, it is. That's the one you'd want.
Yeah, that's the one where you sort of know exactly what you're getting.
It's a multi-purpose.
Oh yeah, you could use it to. There's Look Who's Talking To, which I was trying to describe to Lewis what Look Who's Talking was.
It's the
talking toilet. The toilet, which is fucking terrifying. It's like
how much is it?
$1,500. Like that's so
US.
cheap. Yeah,
that's doable.
That's so cheap.
Jed, you might get something in the post.
And there are so many other.
If I was single, I would buy that right now and post it to Jed. That would be the best. The best prank.
Oh no! Wait, you haven't even heard.
Jed jumped out of the window last week.
There's better stuff. So the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers TV show Rat Monster costume, which is the most rancid, horrible thing I've ever seen in my life. And
have you got it?
I'll put it in now. It's like it's just an absolutely horrible thing, and I can't believe. So there's a toilet man. We've got there's just loads of like really iconic stuff that I can't believe is like. So the typewriter for Misery is also there. Yeah. So you got the toilet man. You've got the rat monster, which is a full-size costume, and it's only $500. I would buy that just to walk around the streets in it, just like
Halloween forever,
just every day. They've got like robes from The Exorcist and crucifixes and from The Exorcist. I was like, what? And also a Nazi banner from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I was thinking that's something that I could, like, with reference to the previous episode, just have around the house for Lewis to find.
No. Because it's from the movie.
I collect film props.
It was all they had from the movie that I could afford.
I collect film props. I don't really...
That rat costume is absolutely horrible.
It looks so horrible. It looks like it smells really bad. And it's just, I was like, and it's $500, and like no one is looking at that and going, "Yeah, I love Power Rangers so much that I want that."
I think you'd consider as a price guide if it's something you could just get anyway.
Yeah,
and you'd have to explain, "Oh no, because this is the actual one from the movie. The price will be low, except for the Barbasol can." Because I'm sure I've seen replicas for sale.
Yeah, they also have the Paracephalosaur. vial on its own as well from that they take out at one point, and like there's like there's just so many cool things, and I was just like, it's kind of lucky that I'm not a multimillionaire, because I would just Runcorn would have the biggest film prop museum in the world. I would just build a museum. It's like Mad Millionaire is at it again. It's like, hey kids, do you want to come and see the Jurassic Park? Do you want to see the wheelchair from Nightmare on Elm Street 3? Come in.
Mad Millionaire's Racist Museum and Racist. Have you been to the Cabaret room?
Just imagine myself on the local news going, well, they've shown a lot of this stuff out of context. Like, they haven't shown the talking toilet.
If I could just explain myself, if you just let me explain myself.
They haven't shown the talking toilet from Look Who's Talking Too, but they have shown the Nazi banner from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Like, they're picking and choosing what they want to show from my museum.
Voiced by a Jewish man. There's a lot of middle-aged men in their parents' basements right now who are very busy.
Well, the kimono could be cultural appropriation, but it's just it's murderous.
Yeah.
It's all right.
That's the pick of the litter there. I
That's
think,
so
is that
cool,
kimono.
that, isn't it? Yeah.
I would. That's just amazing. But just obviously, I can't do anything for Needful Things now because I had stuff from this auction as well, and I only had two things.
You
and,
lazy podcasters.
Kirsty also picked the Shining typewriter, but I think I've been looking at this auction quite
Ooh, no, it's Misery typewriter.
intently as well, and I think, the Misery typewriter. But I think the
Is it the same one that was used in The Shining?
Probably.
but the
Typewriter.
the cream of the crop of this auction was clearly this, which went for. I had a list that's got a few of the items and obviously sold for, but this item sold for $125,000, and it's probably actually worth it, which was the actual axe used from The Shining, which
Ooh.
sold for $125,000 recently at auction, which is the actual one that was used on screen. And a lot of these items as well were actually up in the in Planet Hollywood. Like the axe was on the wall, which is like when Kirsty showed the baby before, it's like, did they have that on the wall in Planet Hollywood? People like there with like their burgers and that. It's just like, yeah, we've got the baby from Titanic. It's in the water.
I love that on the auction they show the axe in situ, but like shoved in the snow next to the Frozen Jack model. But it's almost like, I don't know why, because an axe has got a head, but it's almost like it's a character. Like it should have little eyes and a smile on it or something.
Choppy, the little axe.
It just looks like, oh, there he is.
It was Jack Nicholson who bought it, and he's just like, they're like, welcome home, old friends.
Kirsty, is that, that axe that you got from the auction? Is that the axe he used to kill the black chef? No. A different axe. Are you sure? Yeah.
It's the snow axe. No, look.
If you watch the film carefully, you'll see it's a different axe.
Embroiled is the word. Embroiled.
I don't feel safe with that house anymore. I feel like that's that scene in The Birds where she's sat and you just see there's more and more birds gathering behind her. It's just like our living room, but every time Lewis looks away, there's another Nazi thing or a burning cross.
Oh, Jed, who are we going to get to replace Kirsty in season 2? We'll need to vet them, of course. Not making that mistake again.
Shamed,
oh, I know
shamed
them.
racist podcaster cast out by own brother.
Oh.
Bring one of your younger sisters. Like, you like horror movies, don't you? It's like, no. It's like, well, can you watch them? And he goes, are they on Netflix?
Yeah. Oh, I just watched Elevator Game. Hello?
Hello?
Well, I can follow that because not only do I have 3 very needful things, they all have a bit of a story behind them. and they're all sat on my desk because I own them.
No way.
And I've I've obtained all of them. I don't mean I've stolen them, you'll understand. I've obtained all of them since the last episode. And that is this happy bunch. So I saw online this swamp monster, it's a creature from the Black Lagoon who's one of the classic horror figures, known as just the creature for us fans. I calls him Swamp Monster, and I always will. For anything in that it's a very general area of swamp monsters. But there was a bust, and it's got a key, you can hang it so it's like coming out of the wall, or you can have it like this so it's coming out of the desk. The pictures show this thing spanning a doorway. It's over 1 meter wide. It's huge. It looks angry and scary and monsterish as much as it can be in a swamp monster. And the price was right, considering it's just a resin cast thing. And I'm like, all right, fine. I bought it. This tiny little thing, this slightly larger than a biro, showed up. And I was like, wait, what? And I'm seeing in the photos if it was like shot at an angle to make it look bigger. But it turns out that this is a replica of someone made that big over the doorway mold, and these are just rip-offs of that one. It also showed up with its arm off, and the eBay person was like, looks like you could maybe just glue it and stop complaining.
There'd be some glue in the post.
They refunded me almost half the fee. I didn't get it for free like you would if it was Amazon or somewhere. But I was like, can you also maybe just put a photo? Because it's funny if you get it, because it's available all these like crappy stores online. If you go on AliExpress, it shows there's all the same picture, and it's like over like a big movie poster framed. It's huge, this thing. It's like maybe 80 centimeters wide. But then there's one photo of this slightly friendlier, wussier looking swamp monster that's clearly much smaller with the dimensions on it. It's like 20 centimeters wide or whatever. So anyway, but he's still cool. I like him, and he can sit there. And I've been trying to put this like more horror vibe onto my desk, and my father-in-law brought over for Christmas. He brought over all this Nightmare Before Christmas stuff, and they're like the cardboard stand-up scenes. Like there's Oogie Boogie, and there's a gravestone, and there's a big, like the classic Tim Burton like curly hill thing with the crosses on it, and all the characters for Christmas. It'd be like a table setting. So I've got those set up to try and make this look a bit more like I do a horror podcast. I also bought a Simpsons mug. It's a color changer, and it's the Rychilian How to Cook for 40 Humans cookbook from the Halloween episode. And it's color changing. So it says how to cook humans. And then when you pour hot water in it, it says how to cook for 40 humans. Thought that was amazing.
After he blows the dust off.
Yeah, it blows us. There's still more space dust on here. Oh, amazing. And then the other thing is, as promised, and as I mentioned, my father-in-law bought us the Grave Robbers from Outer Space card game. So this card game was out years and years and years ago and got discontinued. So Grave Robbers from Outer Space, being like the Ed Wood movie, and it's the idea of the card game is that you get characters, locations, props, scenarios in these cards that you draw out of the deck, and you use those to make your own B-movie, horror movie. And while this is going on, you also need to defend against attacks from other cinematic horror characters. So it's an awesome looking game. And I think we should dedicate, I don't know, I was thinking maybe not in an episode, but maybe we could do like a special where we just play this game, maybe for Halloween or something.
Have we got to come to Australia to do it?
No. We'll maybe I'll pick the cards or something like that. Yeah. It's actually quite expensive. It's like $50 per set. So Resurrected from the Dead after 15 years out of print, and they did a Kickstarter for this to redo the game, to remake it. Grave Robbers from Outer Space, director's cut. You, as a B-movie director, build up your own film with location, character, props, and special effects cards while defending against Hollywood creatures. So those are 3 needful things that you can buy right now that we have bought and own. Pretty good.
I'm going to buy the Shining axe, though.
Goes to the bank, be like, what do you need this money for?
I don't wanna be buried in a pet cemetery.